Okay, welcome back. In this video we're going to be analyzing Jordan Barrett, who is a prominent model, a male model, and first we'll begin with his side profile. So we have these two photos. I've already went ahead and measured everything, and we'll take a look at how attractive his face is from his facial proportions. So first we have his nasofrontal angle, which is this angle here, and it is perfectly ideal at about 124 to 128 degrees. So it's not overly masculinized, but also not feminized. And overall, there's not too much to note about his side profile. His side profile is virtually ideal in many respects. One thing is that his facial convexity, or his facial flatness, is slightly low at 167 degrees. However, this is a perfectly normal measurement, and it's not really indicative of any type of overbite or malocclusion. It's just that the average and statistical sampling led me to the conclusion that slightly higher facial convexity is ideal. So ideally he would have about 1 degree higher of an angle. So I'm not going to delve too much into the side profile because some of the more interesting measurements are mostly in the front. One of his best facial features is that he has a positive orbital vector, or the tissue. You can see the protrusion past his eye gives him the appearance of deep set eyes, and that's quite a rare trait. Mostly everything else is ideal, so his side profile score is a 89.3%. So he has perfect, near perfect side profile facial harmony. However, in the front, that's where things start to fall apart a little bit. So let's get into that. And the notable flaw we'll look at is that I'll just note his ideal features first. So his jaw width is perfectly ideal relative to his cheekbone width. He has a wide neck, which is ideal. His chin is slightly too tall, but it's not a major flaw. It's 2.69 times his philtrum length. And I'm not sure I took an average of different photos, but I'm not sure which of the photos that specific measurement would be attributable to. So I'm just going to do it in one photo, and if it's incorrect, it's just remember that it is an average, so this is basically as close to accurate as it is in real life, probably. And his forehead width is ideal as well. He has a wide forehead. His cheekbones are some of the highest we've ever seen at 94.8% of mid-face height. You can just see that the widest portion of his face is right near the eyes. That's demonstrable here. You can see just how close they are to his eyes. His facial thirds are not bad, but they're also not that proportionate. You can just see that his lower third dominates his face, and his middle and upper third are too compact. And we'll see that carries over into another flaw as well. But his lower third is 38.7% of facial height, which is a bit far away from 1/3, which is the standard. Now let's get into his largest flaw, which is his facial compactness, and that divides this facial height by his facial width, and it is an extreme 1.18, which is extremely low and an outlier. It's perhaps his largest flaw, but we'll see others as well. And it just gives his face an overly compact and squished appearance. It kind of looks like a ball, although it is angular, so not quite. But the same can be said for his facial width to height ratio, although it's not as much of an outlier, and that is 2.2 times wider. So he has an extremely compact and squished of a face. Moving on, his mid-face proportions, similarly, he has a very compact mid-face proportion of 1.11, which is also unideal and too compact. So that's his overall. We can lump that whole discussion in and say that his face is just too compact. That's his largest flaw. His eye spacing is perfectly ideal, even despite his wide facial structure, at 44.6% of the bizygomatic width, which is this distance here. So he has great eye spacing. His eyes are a bit less than one eye apart, but it's nothing drastic at 0.86. His eyes are extremely upturned, and that means the inner corner relative to the lateral, or the outer corner, lateral canthus, is 8.6 degrees, or 8.3, excuse me, which is ideal. It's at the top end of ideal in the male range. So he has a very piercing and striking eye region because of that. It's quite a rare trait. His eyes are also very narrow and compact. Overall, he has a very hunter-like or intimidating eye region. And similarly, he has raised eyebrows as well. Excuse me, I've recorded about 5 videos in a row, so I'm not used to talking this much. And I've probably complained about that in the past 4 videos as well. His jaw is slightly flat. That's his last notable flaw, at about 98 degrees. Ideally, it should be 95 at the maximum in a male face, but it does harmonize well with his mid-face region. So you can see the deviation between that angle and this angle is about 3 degrees or less, which is ideal. And overall, we can say that his front score is still good at 61.8%. However, because of those outlier flaws, mainly in facial compactness, his score is quite low relative to his overall score. And his overall score is a 72.5%. And this is pretty close to what I would rate him because his facial features do not lag far behind. So overall, he would be about his harmony score. And usually, most people fall within 0.5 points of their harmony score. They don't deviate too much, because the only reason you would deviate much from your harmony score is if you had lacking eyebrow density, or you had really bad skin that could do it easily, or you had high body fat percentage. So those are the 3 main factors of why someone would deviate far from their harmony score. If you don't have that, then you would probably be within 0.5 points of that harmony score. And I think that's the case for Jordan. I think he's about a 7.5, which is a top, here, we'll do it, show it here. So 7.5 is about a 1 in 1,600 face. So he has a very rare face. However, his face has a high utility for modeling, meaning that he has a very model-esque face, but it's not necessarily objectively the most attractive face. And we can actually correct some of his flaws, just minor, in Photoshop. And the first thing we want to do is just increase his forehead height to better proportion his facial thirds. And we can maybe decrease his facial width slightly. That'll give him a better facial width height ratio and a better eye separation, although it was ideal in the first place. His chin height, we don't really want to reduce, because that'll just make his face too compact. And I could just keep adding his forehead height, but this just demonstrates, in short, it just looks a little bit better. And if you keep stretching out his forehead, it'll look even better. Anyways, if you'd like to order a facial analysis, please do so in the links in the description, and keep suggesting any faces you would like to see analyzed. Thank you for watching.